Nyum CD. Onia to wenichwe Makola African Supermarket. Ne hodie. Omum ni uhwamoda. Eye ya ye nua nana any gifty ena akofa Makola African Supermarket aba Illinois ha. Uhwehwe omechi akwan a obenyo mo 1019 1017 West Wilson, Chicago, Illinois 60640. Anasa frɛ won ewo 773 654 1971. Onia eye wo se wote abrochens wo nya Ghana nyama nto a ene fa weniche Makola African Supermarket na wo best serisa. Upe baby a ubenya Ghana nnuane papa edi ama wakuma ato uyema enuani Grace African Restaurant mami abna boa ma akofade abrayen wo Chicago, Illinois Chrome ha onia fufu na opese wudie benku ana atuo zafi enuani se wudi we.
All right, thank you all for tuning in to WJT 98.3 FM, your voice, music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a licensed certified public accountant, as well as a serial entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the CEO and founder of Badu Enterprises, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. What we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including tax preparation, credit repair, financial consulting, and all the above. So today we'll be talking about important presentation, very important. It doesn't really fall into the scope of finances per se. It definitely has to do with money, but it's not a traditional topic. But it's on asset protection, essentially how to protect your assets, how to protect your businesses, and how to set yourself up for success when it comes to business. So this would be asset protection, the different types of entities that you should consider for your business, as well as going into trust funds. Before that, as usual, we'll start it off with a market report. This report is as of July 5th, 2019. Happy belated 4th of July weekend. So essentially last week, June's labor report was strong enough to likely prompt the Federal Reserve or the Fed to hold interest rates at the current level and forestall a rate cut. Feeding off the latest labor figures, stocks pushed ahead during the holiday shortened week as each of the benchmark indexes listed here posted gains. The NASDAQ led the way, gaining close to 2%, followed by the large caps of the S&P 500 as well as the Dow or the Dow Jones, each of which enjoyed a solid week. The global Dow gained close to 1% despite evidence of a slowing global economy. Pulling up the rear was the Russell 2000, which added over 0.5% in value by last week's end. Despite performance of stocks, long-term bond yields held steady as prices inched down marginally. The price of crude oil went down from $58.16 per barrel to $57.69 per barrel. Price of COMEX gold went down from $14.13.30 to $14.02.10. So overall, the markets went up, but oil prices and gold ultimately went down. So far this year, the Dow Jones is up 15.41%. NASDAQ, which is composed mainly of technology stocks, is up 23.01%. S&P 500 is up 19.29%. Russell 2000 is up 16.84%. Global Dow is up 13.35%. Interest rates have not changed this year. Federal funds target rate has remained steady at 2.25% to 2.5%. And then the 10-year treasuries as of July 5th are at 2.04%. With that being said, we'll get right into the presentation or the discussion, which is on asset protection. Making sure you're protecting your assets. Ironically, now not to get crazy about anything, but ironically, I'm actually watching O.J. Simpson's documentary or story, essentially what happened during his trial and everything. And watching on Netflix. It's called The People vs. O.J. It's very good. I mean, I'm on, I believe, episode 8 right now, and there's about 10 episodes in there. But I would say, other than all the crazy things O.J. did, we could certainly learn from O.J. As far as when it comes to asset protection. I mean, this man is straight bulletproof when it comes to asset protection. So we can all learn something, minus all the crime or all the crazy stuff. We can certainly learn a thing or two when it comes to asset protection, when it comes to people like OJ. So when it comes to asset protection, there's a few things that you have to note. There's different entities that you can form in order to protect your assets or your business. The first one, which provides zero asset protection, is a sole proprietorship. In my opinion, is the worst type of entity. You should never operate as a sole proprietorship, even if you own a lemonade stand that's doing $1 in sales, or has only done $1 in sales. The reason why is because a sole proprietorship or DBA has zero asset protection, meaning that your personal assets are subject to liability or subject to being taken away if you were sued. So something very important, a sole proprietorship, or sole prop for short, provides zero asset protection whatsoever. Next thing is you do have to pay FICA or self-employment taxes. So you have to pay about 15% FICA tax when it comes to this. So it's very important that you make sure that, you're not, you want to make sure that when it comes to taxes, you also understand the fact that you can pay, or you have to pay self-employment taxes when you're a sole proprietorship. One benefit of the sole prop or sole proprietorship is that it's very simple and easy to set up and operate. But remember, anything that's easy in life is usually not all that good. So it's very important to note that as well. The next type of entity is a partnership. So a partnership, also a general partnership, has no asset protection whatsoever. It's basically a sole proprietorship, but it's duplicate. It's two or more people. There is FICA. There's certainly FICA when it comes to your earnings in the business. So it's very important to note that you still have to pay self-employment taxes when it comes to a partnership. Another benefit is very simple and easy to run and manage and operate. So it's one of those things where if you're just getting started, you can consider it. But I still don't recommend it for anyone. The next one is an LLC, or limited liability company. To me, this is my favorite one. This is, in my opinion, the best type of entity to have. It provides asset protection, meaning your personal assets are not subject to liability in the event of a lawsuit that involves only your business, assuming you're not doing what's known as piercing the corporate veil, where you're either commingling personal business funds, so you're depositing business money into personal money or personal bank accounts. Where you're, so not only that, but let's say you don't have any operating agreements or anything that shows that you're a legal entity. It's very important when you're running a business, you have to treat it as a business. You have to do everything that a normal business would do. So board meetings, minutes, articles of organization, always on file, bylaws or operating agreements for LLCs. So it's very important that you have all these things in place. Next thing is it's very flexible. You get to choose how you want to be taxed. An LLC can be taxed as a sole proprietorship, a partnership, S corporation, or C corporation. The difference here is that if you're taxed as a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you are subject to FICA or self-employment taxes at the 15%. If you're an S corporation, you're not subject to FICA, but you do have to have a little more maintenance. You have to run payroll and all that good stuff. And then if you're taxed as a C corporation, you're subject to double taxation, meaning not only are your earnings taxed, you don't pay any FICA taxes on it, but not only are your earnings taxed, but you're also taxed when you distribute money to yourself in the form of a dividend. So it's very flexible. You get to choose your tax status. You can also issue what's known as units. So instead of shares, you can issue units to investors. There are some maintenance costs involved, so you have to renew the LLC every year. You have to pay to file the LLC, so always something to note. But it's a very good entity choice. I love LLCs. Very, very good entity. Very easy and simple to run. You just have to make sure that you do the formalities, and it protects you. It's great for real estate. Real estate should never be owned in anything outside of an LLC, in my opinion, when it comes to the entity structure. So real estate should be, an LLC should be tied in real estate. Next is an S corporation. So S corporation is very similar to an LLC. It provides asset protection. The good thing here, there's no FICA or self-employment taxes on non-W-2 earnings or W-2 wages. It's not as flexible as LLC, so you can only be taxed as an S corporation or a C corporation. As a matter of fact, all S corporations start off being taxed as C corporations. So you have to make an election by filing the Form 2553 S Corp election form or small business election form in order to be taxed like an S Corp. The benefit of this, there's no FICA or self-employment taxes, and also you're a pass-through entity, meaning that there's no double taxation. Pass-through simply means that your earnings and profits pass through to your personal tax return, your 1040. So you file an 1120S S Corp tax return, and you file a K1 along with that, or the 1120S generates a K1. And that K1 ends up on your Schedule E, on your Form 1040. And that Schedule E is what you ultimately report your earnings and profits. That's where you're taxed. So S Corp or pass-through entities are taxed at the individual level, not the business level. So you get taxed when you file your 1040 or your personal or individual tax return. So very important to note that it can sound very confusing, but just note that you're paying one level of taxes on your earnings and profits, and you're also not paying FICA or self-employment taxes. One thing about the S Corps, or a few things, so you can issue shares to shareholders. You cannot have foreign owners in an S corporation, so it has to be U.S. based owners. That's one of the downsides. So if you want foreign, then you might as well go LLC, because you can have foreign owners in an LLC. You cannot have foreign owners in an S corporation. You can only have up to 100 owners, so only 100 shareholders max in an S corporation. But with the S Corp, it's pretty good. It's great for active businesses. So if you're running a construction company, a tax firm, I'll tell you a secret. My tax firm is taxed as an S corporation. But my real estate, certainly not taxed as S corporations, because real estate is not active, it's passive. So it's really good to have, it's certainly good to have it's good to have active businesses in S corporations or LLCs taxed as S corporations. And then your passive businesses should be taxed as sole proprietorships or partnerships, because there's no self-employment or FICA taxes on passive income. And then you have the infamous C corporation. So that's what a lot of people know. It does provide asset protection, just like an LLC or an S corporation. There's no FICA, but there's double taxation, meaning you pay taxes at the business level and at the individual level when you distribute earnings. It's very high maintenance. Also, the S Corp, forgot to mention, S Corp is high maintenance. So you have to have board meetings at least once a year, stockholder certificate. You have to take minutes at your board meetings. You have to have bylaws in place. And so it's just a little high maintenance. LLCs, you don't really have to have any of this. You should have some of these things, but you don't really have to have these things with an LLC. And then you can also have, so C Corps are mainly for public companies. So the Apples, GEs, Microsoft, AT&T, they're all C corporations. Because with a C Corp, you can have more than 100 owners. And then you can have an unlimited amount of domestic and foreign owners. It's best for big time public companies. So if you're looking to go public, then a C Corp is certainly best suited for you. So always keep that in mind. So that's just a recap. There's 5 really entity choices you can have: sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC or limited liability company, S corporation, or C corporation. Those are the 5 choices mainly. Now, to give you a bonus or take it a step further, those are the entities. Your business should be in one of these entities. Highly advised LLC, or if you want S corporation, that's fine too. And then if you're looking to go big or become a public company, then it's a C corporation. Now, to take it to the next level, not only do you want to have entities, you also want to have trust funds. Very important to have a trust fund. When it comes to your life, your personal life, and your business life, you should have a living trust. Everybody on the planet should have a living trust. The reason why you have a living trust is, for one, it's easy for your assets to pass to your beneficiaries. For example, what if you own a business, you pass away, and all of a sudden you don't have a will, you don't have a trust? The will is one thing. It's like, okay, it goes to this person. But when you have a trust, it identifies how and when it goes to that person. Because if you don't have a trust in place and you pass away and your business is still alive, well, guess what? Nobody's going to know what to do, because your will is going to say, hey, so-and-so gets the business, but how does so-and-so know what to do, so the trust is something that helps pass things on to people. Now, as a disclaimer, of course, I'm not an attorney, so anything I say cannot be taken as legal advice. I'm an accountant, but I know a thing or two when it comes to trust, asset protection, just giving you some tips as an overall business advisor. So you should have a living trust. If you're a husband and wife or a married couple, you have a trust, and your spouse has a trust as well. If you have kids, they can have their own trust. And then we'll get into a bonus really quick on how to hire your kids and all that good stuff. But you should have a living trust that owns everything. So it owns your cars, your house, your businesses, owns everything. That way, when it's all said and done, the living trust ultimately can pass assets down in a pretty easy fashion. So just something to note when it comes to that. Also, a living trust can provide some sort of privacy. So sometimes when your assets are titled in a certain way, people cannot view it in public record. So you have some sort of privacy when it comes to a trust. Everything you own will be owned by that trust. Your bank accounts, everything. The next thing is real estate. Real estate should be owned in a land trust. So very important to note that when you own real estate, it's best to have it in a land trust. So the way it's set up is the land trust owns the real estate, and then the beneficiary of the land trust is an LLC. What this allows you to do is ultimately when a land trust owns a property, especially in the state of Illinois, you cannot attach a judgment to a land trust, at least not easily. So you cannot sue a land trust. So meaning that if you have a building in a land trust, nobody can touch that building. If a tenant slips and falls, busts their head, they cannot sue the building. Or they cannot sue the LLC to get the building. If they sue, they get nothing, essentially. And then if it's in an LLC, that means that let's say that the person sues the land trust, and then the land trust loses the lawsuit, which means they don't get anything, but they try to come after you personally, because your personal name would be tied to or if your personal name was tied to the property. Well, the LLC protects your personal assets. So they would have to sue the LLC, and if the LLC owns nothing, then guess what they get? They get nothing. So probably wondering how people like O.J. Simpson and a lot of these celebrities are protecting their assets. They're using trusts and entities. That's all they're doing. They're not breaking, from an asset protection standpoint, they're not breaking the law. They're not doing anything negative from a business and asset protection standpoint. There's nothing illegal. They're just utilizing entities that were created to protect us. You have other things like the homestead exemption, meaning if somebody sues you, you have a certain equity in your property that's locked in. Some places have unlimited homestead exemption, meaning that if somebody sues you, they cannot take the equity in your home. Illinois has a very low homestead exemption. But overall, real estate in general should be owned in a land trust. Land trust is very nice for real estate. Whether it's in a mortgage, non-mortgage, you should own real estate when it comes to a land trust. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask or chime in during. We're live on Facebook, so you can find me at Jeff Badu on Facebook. You can call into the studio, 773-942-7167. Once again, 773-942-7167. If you have any questions for me, my number is 773-679-7198. Once again, 773-679-7198. Some of this information can be found on my personal website at jeffbadu.com, jeffbadu.com. I share a lot of information, a lot of insight. So if you guys ever have any questions about anything, please let me know. But overall, remember, there are a lot of predators in this world. A lot of people out that if you leave them an opportunity, they will take what you have. They'll take your money, they'll take your house, they'll take everything. So it's important that we protect these things through entities and trusts. So we have to have a land trust for all of our real estate that we own. We have to have an LLC that serves as the beneficiary of that land trust for every piece of property. And I recommend that you put them into separate LLCs just for even more asset protection. And then everything you own in this world outside of the land trust should be owned by a living trust. So your businesses, your bank accounts, your cars, everything you own except for the land trust stuff should be owned by a living trust, a revocable living trust. So very important to note that. There's other forms of trust. There's charitable remainder trust. That's more for the high net worth, the wealthy, where you have an appreciated asset such as real estate. Maybe you bought it for $100,000 20 years ago. It's appreciated to $1 million. You gift it to a charity through a charitable remainder trust, and essentially you get a tax write-off of $1 million, believe it or not, because they mark up or they do a step up in basis or fair market value. So you get $1 million tax write-off. And you can even set it up to where you're benefiting, where the living trust, or the charitable remainder trust is paying you a certain amount over your lifetime, through things like life insurance policies and annuities and all that good stuff. So very, very complicated, very advanced level stuff. But trusts are a very good way to protect your assets. I highly recommend trusts, especially for those who are married, especially for those who want to protect their assets. So everything you own, make sure it's owned by a trust. And then the beneficiary of the trust or the primary run of the trust are the entities. So the LLCs, S corporations, all that good stuff. Now, a quick bonus on hiring your kids. So as somebody who runs an active business and has a child by, let's say, at least the age of 7, you're allowed to hire that child and pay that child. The benefits of doing that is you get a tax write-off for whatever you pay the child. That child could be your cleaner, in your office cleaner, your office admin person. And you can pay them a salary if they're under 18 of up to $12,000. You get to write off or take a tax deduction of the $12,000. And you ultimately, once you take the tax deduction, they don't have to pay any taxes on that money. Your child does not have to pay any taxes on the $12,000. So it's very important to do that. This is how you can fund their daycare. You can fund their retirement. You can fund their college. Imagine if somebody started you off, your parents started you off. They hired you in their business. They taught you everything you needed to know. And ultimately, you were able to, to reap a reward of, let's say, $12,000. It used to be $6,000, but let's just say it's $12,000 every year. And it's funding your life insurance policy. By the time the child is 18, it would have a nice cash value amount in their policy. They would probably have $1 million tied to their name. Your child would be a millionaire by the age of 18. Can you imagine? Before they even go to college, just because you were teaching them these principles, they were compounding money over time, and they were building wealth while you're building your wealth. And guess what? The benefit for you is you're getting a tax deduction for all this stuff. I mean, what do you really have to lose? So it's very important that you teach the kids early as well. Very, very, very important to teach the kids when it comes to just wealth. I mean, wealth in general, business. It's important to teach kids business at an early age. If you're a business owner, and I encourage you, if you don't have a business, you might want to look into one, especially with the new tax reform, the way the world is working, the whole manual labor, the whole blue collar. Anything that's manual. Even Uber, for example. Uber has these driverless cars out in Vegas. I was just in Vegas a few weeks ago. They have driverless cars where there's no driver driving the car. There are people that are, operating and watching the car for testing purposes and making sure everybody's safe. But there's no actual driver in the car. It's driving itself. 10 years from now, there will be no Uber drivers. Can you imagine? So it's very important that we start something that's sustainable, and start a sustainable business. Don't just start a business that is going to go away 2 years from now. Start something that's sustainable, that people need. The best type of business is a business that people need. Always try to find ways to revolutionize your business. For example, in our tax firm, the tax prep industry has been around since the beginning of time. But we know that there's a few mistakes that accountants are making. For example, and this is not a mistake on the accountant's parts. This is just, a natural thing. Accountants are not the youngest people in the world. They're soon approaching retirement. The average accountant is about to retire or approaching retirement age, so 65. So with that being said, what if they all retire one day? Where's the talent? How can people get any advice when it comes to taxes if your accountant is about to retire? So what I tell people, what I say is that I created, I wanted to build a firm that has longevity. So that's one of our competitive advantages. That's how we differentiate ourselves from some of the accounting firms, is we have longevity. 2, accountants weren't really educating their clients. What did we do? And we read this, by the way, in an industry report through IBIS World. If you need a free IBIS World report, please send me an email at jeffbadu@gmail.com, and I'll send you a free report. It's usually retailed at about $1,000 to $2,000 per report, but I can send you one for free. But yeah, we knew that accountants weren't educating their clients, so they're losing clients because they don't feel educated. So guess what we did? We educated our clients. So we're sending newsletters. We're doing things like these, the radio segments. We're doing 100 workshops a year. We're doing a lot when it comes to education. So that's now a competitive advantage for us, competitive disadvantage for our competitors. Another thing is we do things virtually. A lot more people are starting to appreciate the virtual world. So a competitive disadvantage for the other accountants, if you're 65 years old, you're not the most virtual firm in the world. God bless you if you are, but you're probably 90% not virtual. Everything in person, everything hard copy, paper. That gets tiring after a while. So we decided to become a virtual company where you can do your taxes virtually. So that's 3rd competitive advantage, which is a competitive disadvantage to the competitors. 4th, last but not least, we have access to everyone you need in your network. Another thing accountants lack. They didn't want to touch if you needed a referral for a business valuation or a life insurance agent. They just said, oh, hey, I don't really know somebody, because they were scared that they would send them to the wrong person. Well, we've built trust, and we've built, rapport with our referral partners. And some things we do in-house. We run a life insurance agency in-house. We do credit repair in-house. We do a lot of things in-house. So we have the services necessary to supplement or to add on to our tax services. So another competitive advantage, our fourth and final one, is we have access to every single person that you need when it comes to your money. So my challenge to everyone out there, if you don't have a business or a sustainable and profitable business that you can differentiate from the competitors and take competitive advantages, I challenge you to do something, even if it's in real estate, even if it's passive. So something like real estate where it's passive, I highly challenge you and encourage you to do so. So remember, there's entities and then there's trusts. Have both. Don't just have one. Maybe starting out you have just the entity and LLC that's going. That's fine. But if you want to take it to the next level, then you go the trust way. You have a trust fund set up for all your assets, all your businesses, all your real estate, even your bank accounts, your cars, everything you own in this world. Fancy watches, things like that. You want to have them in trust. So, that's essentially the segment. Wanted to give you guys an overview of asset protection, how to protect your assets. The last time I was on the segment, my business partner, Don Kielbasa, or Don for short, presented on it, and he mentioned a few key points. We did talk about trusts, living trusts, revocable living trusts, irrevocable land trusts, charitable remainder trusts. There's a lot of trust funds out there, and each one serves its own purpose. So if you need more in depth, Don is certainly your guy for that. I know a lot about it, and if you need his contact information, just give me a call, shoot me an email. Phone number 773-679-7198, 773-679-7198. You can email me at jeffbadu@gmail.com. If you need more insight when it comes to asset protection, I can certainly give you some more insight when it comes to that. But that's just asset protection in a nutshell. Have the entities. You have the sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC, S corporation, or C corporation. Those are the 5 entity choices. And then you have the trusts, mainly the living trust or revocable living trust. And then you have the land trusts. So those are different ways you can protect your assets when it comes to asset protection. So we'll cut it short. If we don't have any questions, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly via email. Check out my website, jeffbadu.com, jeffbadu.com. We'll certainly be more than happy to help you out understand any of this. It can seem complicated at first, but with the right team in place, you will get this done. And there's 3 people that you have to have on your team when it comes to a business. You have to have an accountant. An accountant is somebody who's going to help you with your numbers, your taxes, all that good stuff. You have to have an attorney, somebody who's going to help you with things like this: asset protection, your legal, your contracts, your LLCs, your trusts. You have to have an attorney. I have an attorney. Don Kielbasa, or Don, is my attorney. Of course, I'm my own accountant. And then you have to have your marketing. I have a team of marketers. I have plenty of marketers on my team. I have people that market every single day. I have people that are marketing right now as we speak on this radio. So you have to have marketers in place at all times. So I highly encourage you to have a good solid marketing team. So those are the 3 people you always should have, you always need on your team. So we'll cut it short here. Sorry for the late start. But thank you all for tuning in to WJC 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. We'll have more segments. This is Money Talks, where all we talk is money. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. If you're interested in possibly becoming a business owner, providing tax services, or anything, just needing to learn about money in general, feel free to reach out to me. I teach basically all the time. Right now we're in the process of enrolling our 2020 tax prep team. So we do have independent contractors who run their own businesses. And in 2020, we're looking for an additional 25 independent contractors who are looking to be trained and taught how to run a business, a tax business at that, or a financial services business. And we take you through everything, step by step. And there's really no cost to it. So there's really not anything to lose. And I've been doing this for about 3 years now, where I've been training and coaching people when it comes to their money, or when it comes to starting or launching a successful business. So with that being said, my name is Jeff Badu. I look forward to delivering you all some content. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you.
You're listening to WGHC 98.3 FM.
While you, but we are nothing friend. From see the first time, after dressing skin. Gonna be why you get anything you like. Long as you are right, then me alright. Me know you're not, that's why I'm alive.
Your voice, your music.